I think they're taking this badger call a little too seriously now. Surprisingly enough, living in the glowing aftermath of the most violent cull in history is not as good for your health as television would like to make you think. Turns out not all of us get powers like Adamant or Batfink. Instead, most of us get nausea, cancer, or the crippling survivor's guilt as you lay awake hearing the screams that are burnt into your memories. Luckily for me, man thought about survival in the barren wastes of nuclear war far before they ever actually dropped the bombs. Well, aside that one time. As soon as they unleashed such power on the world, everyone immediately became concerned on what to do if anyone ever did so again. So through the 50s and 60s, among the standoffs of two superpowers, a flood of PSAs were made to ready the population for total destruction. They actually used to play these when I attended school, and while they aren't as relevant anymore, they did seem to gain a lot of relevance in 2016 for some reason. So let's give them a watch. Let's start with probably the most popular of these PSAs, Duck and Cover.
Deedle-dum-dum, deedle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked.
I'm sorry, are we whistling or sipping tea?
What we all must learn to do. You
and you
and you
and you duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing.
So we start off with the sound bites of Adam's theme.
We must all get ready now.
As they explain the destructive power of the bomb.
There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. It could knock you down hard, or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover, like Bert, you will be much safer.
So you're telling me, to get away from a building-destroying explosion, all I have to do is duck? Sounds perfectly reasonable. Alright, let's give it a try.
Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle's.
What?
So, we have to cover up in our own way.
Alright, thanks for telling me now.
First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by.
Well, that's good and fine when you're inside, but what about when you're in the open?
But no matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. Duck and cover.
Throw your girlfriend against the wall. Don't worry, it's for her own good.
Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Atta boy, Tony. That flash means act fast.
Oh my god, we lost another one!
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Well, aside from teaching kids how to eat concrete, this does give some other useful advice. Like hiding under a sheet to protect yourself from nuke flash. Huh?
This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn.
Oh yeah, barely though. Especially after the flash has already happened. And really, it's just more of that. Just one message. Get under something and hope it's not the bomb. Next up is Atomic Alert, where we start off with a woman who has the Bible Reloaded burned into her retinas. This one's a more comprehensive lesson on disaster readiness, with a focus on radiation and how to safely avoid its hazards.
This radioactivity is coming from a small piece of radioactive material inside this plastic cylinder.
By holding it! What, you think that's dumb and irresponsible? Worked for me all the time. Just like how I would teach children fire safety by giving them matches. We may have had a few busy weeks for firefighters, but we didn't have any kids starting fires afterwards. Okay, to be fair, they do say the sample is perfectly safe. They even surprisingly mentioned the good nuclear power can be in a way. But let's get to the important parts.
We have the national defenses to intercept an enemy. and we all form a team to help each other through emergencies. You are on that team.
Yes, and with enough radiation exposure, you too can join Team Slenderman.
Concrete walls help stop radioactivity. Any wall stops the heat. The heat scorches the house, but does not harm the children. Any solid gives some protection. The thicker it is, the better.
It's also helpful that these walls are pretty much solid lead paint. Keeps all the radiation out. Nah, that's normal.
What if a warning siren sounds? What should you do?
Ditch 'em! Fuck you, kid! Every man for themselves!
Everyone is in on this. Strangers will understand.
Good old days, ladies and gentlemen, where you could trust your possibly non-communist neighbors, like this guy, or even this guy. Hey! Well, we know what to do before and when the bombs drop, but what we really need to know about is the main threat of nuclear weapons, the fallout. Now see, this is an inviting intro. Take notes, duck and cover. I mean, a turtle. Have you not seen what they can do? Trying to give kids nightmares. So we get some rather decent animation for the time while a man who just woke up explains exactly what fallout is.
What is this fallout, anyhow? Just bits of radioactive fall out of the mushroom cloud of the nuclear explosion and settle on the ground. But how will you know if there is fallout? At night, put a white or light-colored plate outside. If dust is accumulated on the plate, treat it as fallout.
With your bare hands, like all radioactive material. I'm starting to see a pattern here. If you suspect an object may be contaminated with radioactive waste, be sure to handle it with your bare hands. I'm sure it's perfectly safe enough to, or whatever, something, buy war bonds. Skipping forward a little as it goes over the same old stuff on taking cover and shelter, but let's just see what we need.
To equip and supply your shelter area, you need some of the same things you might take on a vacation camping trip. First, sleeping equipment to fit your shelter area. Then, food and water. There should be at least a 2-week supply. You'll want plenty of fruit juices and lots of your family's favorite canned foods.
Well, I did find this. Whatever though, water is water. Ah, it burns! Wait a minute. This is vodka. Alright, so do these PSAs even really hold up today? With such advice as hiding under sheets and blatantly handling radioactive material, you would think that this is just a bunch of rushed nonsense. Many people have mocked and claimed that these videos were nothing more than propaganda, and just methods to drive the public into compliance with the fear of communism and the Red Scare. And at times I can see that message coming across. While it may have been part of the plan, these films focus more on just training people into habits that are useful for any disaster, which is simply a checklist of emergency supplies and find cover wherever you can. But really, they couldn't possibly think we're dumb enough to think that a newspaper would be any help. Well, surprisingly, it actually might be. After a bit of research, I found out many nuclear weapons have a thermal flash that lasts several seconds, and getting behind anything can reduce the burns you would receive. Sure, it won't save anyone at ground zero, but that's not the point of these announcements. Instead, it's more the procedures for everyone else after the bombs go off. It also turns out that the radiation from fallout is not nearly as hazardous as most would think. I mean, aside from highly concentrated places near the blast zone, most exposed places you just have to wash the dust away. But I'm not an expert on radioactive material. If you really want to know more about that, I suggest watching Thunderfoot. I mean, the guy sticks his hands into bins of uranium and he seems to have a healthy glow. I guess they have some good advice in them, even if they are pretty out of date. Unfortunately nowadays, nuclear weapons have about an effective range of 200 miles. That would be about the size of New York, just so you have a clear picture. So really, any military-grade bomb dropped today, this advice is pretty much useless to all but the surrounding populace. These films, however, are rather historically iconic. being parodied by shows like South Park, and their style strongly referenced in animations for Fallout 4. But the Cold War is over, nuclear threats are about as meaningful as KYS on Twitter, and with humans having done already a good enough job destroying the world without them, it seems safe to say that none of you have any reason to worry about nukes today.
From NBC News, Decision 2016, the first presidential debate. Live from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. Here now, Savannah Guthrie and Chuck Todd.
The question really is, why are you right and your opponent wrong? Mr. Trump, you go first in this segment. You have 2 minutes. Mr. Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Secretary Clinton. Secretary Clinton, hold on just a moment, folks. Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump, I want to thank you both for participating in all 3 of these debates. That brings to an end this year's debate sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. Now the decision is up to you. While millions have already voted, Election Day, November 8th, is just 20 days away. One thing everyone here can agree on, we hope you will go vote. It is one of the honors and obligations of living in this great country. Thank you and good night.
Go to prepared
Well,
shelters
fire in the kitchen's
immediately.
out. Now we'll go down the
In
basement.
this practice alert, we are assuming that the attack will come on the waterfront area.
See, it's just practice. All this rushing around for nothing.
Citizen, that sounds dangerously seditious.